On 10th August 2025, in the scorching heat of Ukraine's eastern front lines, where the ground trembles from endless artillery barrages and the air is thick with the acrid smell of gunpowder, a legendary unit of warriors has just delivered a devastating blow to the invading Russian forces. Over the span of just 2 brutal days, the Azov Brigade, heroes forged in the fires of Mariupol and now defending the vital heart of Donetsk, has eliminated a staggering 151 Russian occupiers, left more than 70 gravely wounded, and captured 8 prisoners alive. This isn't just a skirmish, it's a thunderous declaration that Ukraine's defenders are far from broken. They're fighting back with ferocious intensity, turning the tide in one of the war's hottest flashpoints, the Pokrovsk direction. But why does this matter? How did we get here? And what does this epic stand mean for the future of the Russo-Ukrainian war? If you're ready for the full story, hit that like button, subscribe, and let's break it all down. To truly grasp the magnitude of this update from the Azov Brigade, we need to rewind the clock and understand the roots of this conflict and the brigade's pivotal role. The Russo-Ukrainian war didn't start in 2022. Its seeds were sown back in 2014 when Russia annexed Crimea and backed separatist forces in Donbass, igniting a brutal proxy war. Enter the Azov Battalion, formed in May 2014 as a volunteer militia in Mariupol, named after the Sea of Azov. Led by Andriy Beletsky, these fighters were ordinary Ukrainians, teachers, workers, students, who picked up arms to defend their homeland against Russian-backed insurgents. They quickly gained a reputation for fierce combat prowess, recapturing Mariupol from separatists in June 2014 and becoming a symbol of Ukrainian resistance. But Azov wasn't without controversy. Early on, the unit drew criticism for its far-right origins, with some members linked to nationalist ideologies. Symbols like the Wolf Sandal,
reminiscent of World War II-era designs,
fueled accusations of neo-Nazism, which Russia has exploited relentlessly in its propaganda to justify the invasion as a denazification campaign. However, as the war evolved, Azov underwent significant changes. By November 2014, it was integrated into Ukraine's National Guard, restructured and professionalized. Political affiliations were purged, and it transformed into the Azov Regiment, focusing purely on military objectives. Today, as the 12th Special Forces Brigade Azov, it's an elite formation under the Ministry of Internal Affairs, known for its discipline, training, and battlefield effectiveness. Fast forward to the full-scale invasion in February 2022. Azov was at the forefront, defending Mariupol in a legendary siege that lasted 86 days. Trapped in the Azovstal steel plant, fighters like Commander Denis Prokopenko held off overwhelming Russian forces, buying time for Ukraine to rally international support. Their motto? Surrender is not an option. When they finally evacuated in May 2022, it was under orders to preserve lives, but many were captured and subjected to sham trials in Russia, where Azov has been labeled a terrorist organization since August 2022. In a dramatic prisoner swap in September 2022, 188 Azov members, including Prokopenko, were freed in exchange for Russian captives. Prokopenko returned to command, and by April 2025, Azov expanded into the 1st Azov Corps, a testament to its enduring legacy. Now in August 2025, as the war grinds into its 4th year, Azov is once again in the spotlight. Deployed to the Pokrovsk front just days ago, they've taken up positions in one of the most perilous sectors, the Dobropilya direction, along the Dobropilya-Kramatorsk highway. Russian forces have been pounding this area, aiming to capture Pokrovsk, a critical logistical hub with roads and railways feeding the entire eastern front. The Azov update, released on August 14, 2025, paints a picture of unrelenting combat. As a result of the battles, in the last 2 days within the area of responsibility of the Corps, 151 occupiers have been eliminated. Also, during this period, 8 Russian servicemen have been taken prisoner. This isn't hyperbole. It's backed by Ukraine's General Staff reports of heavy Russian losses, including 192 troops in Pokrovsk on August 13th alone, plus destroyed tanks, vehicles, and drones. But let's not sugarcoat it. This victory comes amid a dire situation. Russian troops, using small sabotage groups, have made tactical gains plains, probing Ukrainian lines and claiming breakthroughs near Dobropilya. Former Azov Chief of Staff Bohdan Krotevich has sounded the alarm, describing the Pokrovsk-Kostiantynivka line as complete chaos, with Russian advances threatening to encircle Ukrainian forces. Yet Azov's intervention is stabilizing the front, repelling waves of attacks and inflicting punishing casualties. Why is Pokrovsk such a powder keg? Let's zoom out. Pokrovsk isn't just a dot on the map, it's the linchpin of Ukraine's defense in Donetsk Oblast. As a major transport hub, it connects supply lines to key cities like Kramatorsk, Sloviansk. If Russia captures it, the entire eastern front could crumble, allowing advances toward Chasiv Yar and Kostiantynivka, effectively handing over most of Donetsk, a region Russia claims as its own since 2022 annexations. Ukrainian expert Mikhailo Zhirikov warns that losing Pokrovsk would mean the entire front line will crumble, leading to retreats and massive territorial losses. The broader war context amplifies these stakes. By August 2025, Russia's offensive in Donetsk has intensified, with advances in areas like Novohrodivka and Krasnohorivka, bringing them within 8 kilometers of Pokrovsk. Meanwhile, Ukraine's bold incursion into Russia's Kursk Oblast, launched on August 6, 2024, has diverted some Russian troops, but not enough to ease pressure on Donetsk. Russia prioritizes gains here for leverage in potential talks. Casualties are astronomical. Ukraine claims Russia suffers 400 to 500 losses daily in Pokrovsk, totaling over 45,000 in the first 3 months of 2025 alone. But Ukraine faces its own challenges: manpower shortages, with new conscripts often undertrained and demoralized, leading to hasty retreats. Brigades like the 155th and 157th Mechanized have suffered from desertions and poor morale, exacerbating the crisis. Azov's role here is crucial. As part of the offensive guard since February 2023, they've been redeployed from quieter sectors like Kupiansk to plug gaps in Pokrovsk. Their tactics, integrated infantry, artillery, and drones, set them apart. Unlike other units hesitant to risk equipment, Azov deploys FPV drones in adverse weather and uses scouts for precise strikes. Soldiers like Lev Pashko, Horus, exemplify this, rising through ranks with practical experience, emphasizing teamwork and innovation. The human cost is immense. Civilians in Pokrovsk endure constant shelling, with strikes on residential areas and infrastructure like the Pokrovsk coal mine halting operations. Russia's strategy? Meat grinder assaults with small groups, harder to target but resulting in heavy losses. For Ukraine, holding Pokrovsk preserves supply lines and morale. Losing it could force retreats and weaken negotiating positions amid looming US-Russia summits on August 15, 2025. Economically, the stakes are global. Russia seizes resources worth trillions in Donbass: coal, gas, lithium, fueling its war machine. Sanctions bite, with Russia's losses estimated at $1.3 trillion by 2025, but the invasion's cost exceeds $250 billion. For Ukraine, defending Pokrovsk safeguards vital industries and prevents further refugee crises. Over 8 million displaced since 2022. Geopolitically, this battle tests Western resolve. The U.S. lifted arms bans on Azov in June 2024 after reviews cleared neo-Nazi allegations. Allies like France are partnering for armored vehicles, but delays in aid could tip the balance. If Pokrovsk falls, it emboldens Putin. If held, it signals Ukraine's resilience, potentially forcing concessions in talks. Just when you think the story couldn't get more intense, here's a shocker. These 151 eliminations aren't isolated. They're part of a pattern where Russia loses thousands weekly in Pokrovsk alone. Ukrainian intelligence reports up to 400 Russian casualties per day, with January 2025 seeing 15,000 to 21,000 total. Azov's captures? 8 prisoners in 2 days, likely from elite sabotage units infiltrating lines. Imagine the interrogations. Russian soldiers, demoralized and abandoned, spilling secrets about faltering commands. Another twist. While Azov holds firm, internal Ukrainian voices like Krotevich criticize leadership for underreporting the chaos, claiming the front is out of control. Yet Azov's arrival has sparked hope. Their small counterattacks in September 2024 slowed Russian gains, and now in 2025 they're repeating the feat. Personal stories emerge. Fighters like Andriy Kornak describe risking everything, deploying drones in blizzards to maintain edge, despite inferior armor. Surprisingly, Azov recruits foreigners now, drawing motivated volunteers from across continents, echoing its volunteer roots, but with global solidarity. One anonymous soldier dreams of shifting fights to Russian soil, sparing Ukrainian lands. Meanwhile, Russian propaganda persists, sentencing Azov POWs to long terms in sham trials, like Vladislav Shpak's 21 years. Equipment losses add drama. Ukraine destroys Russian tanks, MLRS, and drones daily, turning advances into graveyards. In villages like Udakne and Kotlin, street fights rage house to house, with Azov blocking flanks. The emotional hook? Azov's legacy from Olenivka massacre, where Russia killed dozens of POWs in 2022, fuels their resolve. And here's the geopolitical bombshell. With Trump-Putin summit on August 15th, Russia ramps up for leverage, but Azov's stand could force a rethink. European leaders reject border changes, backing Ukraine's fight.
The climax unfolds in the blistering battles of Pokrovsk's outskirts, a symphony of chaos where Azov's warriors turn defense into devastation. Picture this: Russian sabotage groups, lightly armed and sneaky, infiltrate through fields and tree lines near Dobropilya, aiming to cut highways and encircle Ukrainian positions. But Azov, freshly deployed, sets ambushes with precision. In one engagement, scouts spot a Russian platoon advancing under cover of night. Drones swarm, dropping grenades, while snipers pick off leaders. Chaos erupts. 151 fall in the crossfire, their advances shattered. In Lysivka, street combat rages, house-to-house clearances, with Azov using thermal sights to flush out invaders. A tank duel ensues. Ukrainian Abrams, though Azov gets fewer, versus Russian T-72s, ending in flames as artillery zeroes in. Prisoners are taken amid the melee. 8 Russians, disoriented and surrendering, reveal low morale and supply shortages. The peak moment? Repelling a massive wave near Chunashiny, where Russian DRGs probe flanks. Azov's integrated fire, infantry pinning, drones striking, artillery obliterating, creates a kill zone in forest lines. Over 70 wounded stagger back, their dreams of breakthrough crushed. Prokopenko's corps coordinates flawlessly, blocking the salient that's grown to 23 kilometers. This isn't just fighting, it's a masterclass in modern warfare, where motivation trumps numbers, yet the cost is visceral. Wounded comrades evacuated under fire, civilians fleeing shelling. Azov's grit shines. Volunteers like those in the 6th Battalion push limits, sharing intel with neighbors, embodying war as a team sport. In this inferno, Azov doesn't just hold, they dominate, turning Pokrovsk into a fortress. As the dust settles on these 2 days of fury, Azov's epic stand in Pokrovsk underscores Ukraine's unbreakable spirit amid a grueling war. They've not only inflicted heavy blows, 151 eliminated, 70+ wounded, 8 captured, but also stabilized a crumbling front, buying precious time for reinforcements and diplomacy. This showdown highlights systemic issues: Ukraine's need for better training, more aid, and unified command. Yet it also showcases triumphs: Azov's evolution from militia to elite corps, their role in halting Russian momentum. Looking ahead, with the US-Russia summit looming, these gains could pressure Putin toward talks, especially as Kursk drains resources. But the war persists, with high casualties and uncertain outcomes. What does this mean for future operations? Thoughtful. It proves volunteer-driven units like Azov are key to resilience, potentially inspiring wider reforms.